If you're a man in your 30s dating like you're still 25, you're about to waste the most valuable decade of your life on women who will drain you of your resources, trap you of responsibilities you never wanted, or leave you more confused about dating than when you started. And here's the brutal truth. Most men don't even realize they're making these mistakes until it's too late. They wake up at 35, single, cynical, and wondering why they keep attracting the same toxic patterns over and over again. Now you might be wondering, why should you listen to someone who isn't in their 30s? Well, over the past 4 years, I've helped hundreds of professional men in their 30s completely transform their dating lives when they thought there was no hope left. In fact, just last month, one of my clients who was 43 years old getting out of a divorce used the exact strategies I taught him to match with a 24-year-old graduate student he met on Tinder. This was not luck. This was the result of understanding what actually attracts high-quality women and how to position yourself as the prize, not the provider. So with that being said, in the next 12 minutes, I'm going to reveal the 5 types of women that will sabotage your 30s if you let them. All right, so if you don't know, women tend to have what they call a dual mating strategy. Some of you guys might have heard it, alpha fucks, beta bucks. When we say alpha fucks, we're talking about the guy she has high desirability for. The guy just gets her rocks off. The guy she's actually genuinely attracted to. However, guys in their 30s, they find themselves stuck and positioned in the provider or the beta bucks. So with that being said, the first woman you need to avoid is in fact the provider seeker. This woman cares more about your career, more about what you do, than actually her desire for you. And fun fact, these women usually tend to be between the ages of 28 to 33. They usually switch their dating strategy, but a lot of guys in their mid 30s, late 30s, even early 30s sometimes still find themselves with these women. And then they wonder why the relationship always ends, why she always starts pulling back, why she starts testing him more and more. And it's simply because she was never really into you in the first place. All she really cared about is what you can provide and what you can do for her. Now, an easy way to spot out these types of women is on the first date, if she's consistently asking about your career, what you do, curious about what car you drive, and all these other things that really aren't tied to you, your story, your personality, or just your overall vibe, then chances are she is in fact a provider seeker. Not to mention the provider seekers tend to be more on the masculine side, because a reason as to why they're probably seeking that person out is because they might be high up in their career. So due to hypergamy, they want a guy who's doing better than themselves. So if you are getting any signs that she is a provider seeker, then that is definitely a huge red flag. All right, now woman number 2 is quite funny. And if you're in the dating market, especially in your 30s, you might come across this if you're dating women in their late 20s or early 30s, and that is the baby rabies. A woman who simply just wants kids. She knows that she's at her biological clock, at the end of it, in fact. And so for that reason, she tends to be more pressuring about kids. Do you want kids? Asking a lot of questions about it. Now, this is kind of similar to the woman who's a provider seeker, but these women tend to not have that high degree of genuine interest, because all they really care about is who is going to provide them the sperm to their seed, to their egg. It's the truth. And once again, these women tend to be in their late 20s, early 30s, more so than average. If you feel pressured into having a kid, even if you don't want one, and she brings it up very fast in conversation, and especially if she has no kids herself, then that's a chance that she's in her baby rabies era. Now, if you are a guy, you want kids, by all means, go for it. However, you should still vet out the woman properly, and that's what a lot of guys in their 30s don't really do, because some of you guys might not have kids of your own, and so you might be in your baby rabies era too, right? So that's really just a bad mix. Now, another trick you can do if you really want to see if she's in her baby rabies sort of era here is ask her, has she been pregnant before, or has she had any abortions? Now, I'm not telling you to ask this on the first date, not even the second one, but as you get to know her a little bit, just ask that question, just bring it up in conversation. And if she has said yes to any of these, chances are she might be having baby rabies right now. That's not a woman who you want to deal with. You want a woman who is almost not necessarily indifferent about kids, because it is a good sign that they want to be a mother, but they shouldn't be pressuring it on you. It should happen naturally. Now, these types of women too will also trap you. They will trap you into having kids with them. And if you are a guy who believes in abortion, best believe that's definitely not happening. So always wrap it up regardless of the woman who you're seeing, especially if you haven't known them for at least 6 months, because you never know who you're really dealing with. Now, if you're recognizing yourself in these situations, like dealing with a provider seeker or felt pressured by women with baby rabies, you're not alone. This is exactly why I created Digital Romeo. I personally help men in their 30s build complete dating systems so that you can spot these red flags instantly and attract women who actually enhance your life instead of complicating it. If you want to see how this works, there's a link below in the description. But right now, let's talk about the third type of woman that will absolutely destroy your peace of mind. And that woman is the single mom. Now, if you've been watching dating content at all, you should know without a doubt at this point in time, single moms, especially from a long-term perspective, especially if you don't have kids, is something that you personally just want to avoid altogether. Really doesn't matter what your age here is. The only caveat here is if you already have kids yourself. But even then, if I was a guy in my 30s, 40s, and I had kids, I would still prefer to be with a woman who didn't have children herself. Now, the reason is because number one, you're gonna be dealing with a lot of baby daddy drama. He's always gonna be in her life unless he's a deadbeat, but chances are he's gonna be in the kid's life, he's gonna be in her life, and you just don't wanna deal with that. Now, we all know there's so many women out there, so why would you choose a woman who's already been impregnated by another man? Do you want to be taking care of another man's kids that's not yours? Do you want to be the one providing for them? If not, then you definitely shouldn't date a single mom, because she's going to have that expectation more times than not. It's very rare that I've seen guys have positive experiences with single moms, especially if they have more than one kid. So go ahead and save yourself the trouble. If you do come across a single mom and you discover this throughout time, then that's a tough decision that you're going to have to make. There's very, very few exceptions that I would probably make here if I were you. Now, woman number 4 is going to be the celibate woman, the woman who you're having a great time with, but she stops you. She says, sorry, I have rules and regulations. I don't kiss. We're not having sex. I want this to be natural and I want us to get to know each other. But the crazy part is about celibate women is that the reason why they're celibate is because they've had a horrible past over the past 6 to 8 years. And for that reason, they're sort of changing their dating strategy to now accommodate more for that beta bugs, for the provider. Now, if you take a look at the woman who we've been discussing, you'll notice that there's patterns and similarities between all of them. Most of them are just seeking for that provider nice guy, and that nice guy provider is not gonna be you. It's not. You're in your 30s now, you have more resources, you likely have more status, you have more knowledge, you have more wisdom. If a woman says she's celibate, that is just something that you're not gonna cooperate with. In fact, you should aim to be the exception. Now, let's say you are dating a celibate woman and it's date 3, date 4. I would personally cut my losses by date 5. I would simply just move on, because you don't wanna deal with a woman who has too many rules and regulations. And like I said, these women likely have tainted and jaded past, so why are you gonna be the guy that she makes wait when before she was giving it out a lot easier and a lot more freely, right? Do not be that guy. Still hold strong to your rules, whatever that may be. If you're a celibate guy yourself, obviously this does not pertain to you, but for the most part, things should escalate and still be very, very natural in terms of going to the bedroom. Now, woman number 5 is something that you probably wouldn't have expect me to say, and that is if she's too young. And when I say too young, I would say anything under 22 years old. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have ever been on dates with younger women, especially in your 30s right now, but when they're too young, it almost has this sugar daddy dynamic. And the reason is because at a certain point, compatibility goes right out the window, right out the drain. You guys did not grow up in the same generation. You don't have a lot in common. Just the vibe of it just doesn't feel natural is the best way I can put it. And unless you're a very, very attractive and handsome 30s, then chances are this woman is also indirectly and secretly looking for a provider man herself. Everything we do should be based within a genuine desire. And so I recommend, if you're in your 30s, aim for a woman between 24 and 27. This range right here is going to save you a lot of heartache and honestly a lot of the issues that we've already discussed so far. If you deal with women past 27, likely they're going to be single moms. They might have rules around celibacy because they're changing their dating strategy. They might have baby rabies, and of course we all know, once again, they are seeking for the provider, which that guy is not going to be you. So that is the optimal age range. Anything too young just has a very weird dynamic. And you'll actually notice this if you go out on a date with a young woman. So if you're like 34 and you're going out on a date with a 21-year-old, it's just the vibes are not going to be there. It's likely not, unless she's really, really mature. And so that's why with dating, you gotta have a bit of a strategy and you gotta have intention. Women, they filter based on height. They filter based on looks or aesthetics, whatever. You're gonna filter based on age, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our preferences, and that's gonna work in your best interest. So let's quickly recap what you should avoid. So number one is gonna be the provider seeker who sees you as a walking ATM, the baby rapey woman who's looking to trap you into parenthood that you definitely don't want. Number three, the single mom with endless baggage and baby daddy drama that we don't want. Number four, the celibate woman who has a damaged past. And lastly, women too young to know what they actually want. But here's the reality. Avoiding these women is really only half the equation. The other half is actively attracting women who you actually want. The ones who are emotionally stable, genuinely attracted to you, and enhance your life rather than complicate it. And that requires a completely different approach than what most men are doing. See, most guys in their 30s are still using the same dating strategies they learned in college. They're trying to be the nice guy, leading with their career achievements, or falling into the exact traps I just outlined because they don't know how to recognize quality women or position themselves as the prize. They end up wasting years cycling through the wrong women, getting more frustrated and more cynical, and ultimately settling for someone who doesn't truly excite them because they think that's all they can get. I don't want that to be you. And truth is, it doesn't have to be you. In my Digital Romeo program, I work specifically with professional men in their 30s to build a complete dating system, from crafting your online profiles that actually attract women to mastering the conversations that maintain attraction, all the way to securing dates with women you're genuinely excited about. Now, remember that client I mentioned earlier, the 43-year-old who's now dating a 24-year-old graduate student? That did not happen by accident. It happened because he learned how to position himself correctly, avoid the wrong women, and attract the right ones using a proven system. So if you're ready to stop wasting your time on the wrong women and start attracting the ones who will actually add a value to your life, then click the link down below to apply to work with me directly. This is a 12-week mentorship where I will give you personalized feedback on everything, your profiles, your photos, your conversations, and guide you step by step to build a dating life that actually excites you. So click the link down below to apply, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.